One of the questions I get asked all the time is, how did you write a book? How did you go from just sewing a Star Trek costume to writing a book? It's a good question. Before Facebook was really popular, we had Yahoo groups for sewing. And I started to learn about the computer, a lot more about the computer and the internet. And the internet company I had offered their customers the ability to make a website. So I started to learn how to make a website. And another venture in my life, learning something and really going forward with it. When I want to learn something, I have to dedicate. I really dedicate all my time to it. I really do. And I'm always constantly researching online. When I exhaust everything, then I will ask somebody. But what I've found as a teacher is if you give someone the answer right away, they're going to forget it. But if they have to take the time to look something up, they will never forget it. Because that's happened to me. And whenever I have to look up something and I exhaust it, I'm just at a loss where I can't find the answer I'm looking for, then I will ask someone if they have some information, if they know how to do something, whatever. But I will never forget it because of all the time I put into wanting to learn it or find it. That's really important when you want to learn. But anyway, going back to the website and the book. So I was making pillows and stuff and clothing, and somebody said, you should write a book. You should write a book. I'm like, a book? And I started thinking about it, and I said, yeah, I got something here. I got something here everybody wants. So I ended up getting a contract with a publisher, and they wanted me to write a book on how to make creative pillows. And it just so happens that I was at the sewing store one day, and I ran into a sales rep for Baby Lock. And the owner there of the store said, hey, I want you to meet my sales rep for Baby Lock named Rose. I was telling her what you're doing. And Rose goes, hey, hi. She goes, sounds like really interesting what you're doing. I said, yeah, I've got this attachment for my one brand sewing machine that does what they call felting, but I created something a little bit different. She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm taking fancy fabrics as if it's wool roving, but I get a whole different texture and a whole different look. And she goes, have you seen our standalone machine called the Embellisher? I said, I have not. She goes, let me show it to you. So I saw it. I got one. And I thought, wow, this is great. This is better than the attachment on the other machine, because on the other machine it was a regular sewing machine and you got all that fiber inside your bobbin case area and stuff. And this one here, this was great. Yeah, if you guys want to know what that is, look at the Baby Lock Embellisher. So anyway, right before that book was published, my publisher sent a copy of it to Nancy Zeman from Sewing with Nancy, who happened to have been my most favorite teacher of all time. In fact, she's the one that taught me how to sew, because I was watching her TV shows, and then from her I learned from other people. See how detailed you have to be when you work with leather? I mean, everything with leather is so intricate. If you're working with vinyl at home, it's not as intricate. You just, a lot of people are doing vinyl today. And they say, how come I can't get more money? Well, if you want more money, you've got to learn leather and you've got to be more intricate with your work. And somebody says, well, how do you find the audience? I says, you just have to pound the pavement. So I was on this one television program before I got on Nancy, and she said to me, she goes, let your work speak for itself and you will find the right audience for your work. And I thought about that and I said, that makes so much sense. Whatever quality work that you produce is the type of client you're going to find. Right? Okay, so, all right, let me get off my ADD here and go back to the subject of the book. So, I got on Nancy, and I swear to you, the first day I met her, I literally peed my pants. I was in tears when I met her. Oh my God, she was so beautiful. And she was with me through births, through marriages. She was with me through my divorce. Every time you turn a TV on, you knew she was going to be there when you wanted her, and she was always there to teach you something, to keep your mind off of your troubles in your life and teach you how to be creative. Which amazing, amazing woman. And you should read about her story. She's no longer with us, but there's a book that she wrote called Seems Unlikely, and it talks about her life and what she went through as a woman and as a businesswoman, the struggles as a businesswoman. You're going to have to read that book. I encourage you to get it. It's called Seems Unlikely by Nancy Nejman. So I got on her show, and it was only a 30-minute show I was doing with her, because she would do 30 and 60-minute shows, and she says, no, I think we have enough for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes will be enough. So we crammed a lot in the 30-minute period. We got to the studio like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and we finished around 11:30. And the camera crew was flipping out, and they said, we never finished a show this early. And they said, have you done this before? I said, well, I worked in a photography studio my whole life. I was a photographer, and, I watched Nancy's show, so I memorized her format. I knew exactly what steps she does and everything, so it was really easy for me. And I only had one screw up. We only had to do another take in the beginning. Kind of messed up the beginning. I took my glasses off and I was trying to read the monitor without my glasses, and then I kind of flubbed up, so that was only one retake I had to do. But anyway, being with Nancy was like the dream, my dream. Oh my God, I'll take that to my grave, because she was just an amazing woman, and I didn't know everything about her life until a couple years before she died, when her book came out. So everything I thought about her and praised about her, I didn't even know half of her life. Oh my God, I think I would have been on my knees bowing to her when I met her, knowing how much she's been through in her life. Being a craftsman. So, being a craftsman, Nancy, I said to Nancy, I says, some people were surprised that you brought me on your show because they consider you very conservative, and I'm kind of out there, and I'm also a gay man. And you've never had really many men on your show. You've only had one man on your show besides me. And Nancy said, Christopher, just because I'm a little bit conservative and reserved does not mean I don't recognize talent, and I will support talent. She goes, I look for new things all the time. I look for talent all the time. She goes, I look for diversity. And she said, when I saw your book, I knew it was different, and I knew that the audience would like it. She says, you were a breath of fresh air. And I'm like, whoa. For someone like her to call me a breath of fresh air, that was an honor, and I was so humbled by that. Anyway, when that show aired, all of a sudden, I was getting calls, emails from all these progressive sewing machine dealers across the country wanting me to come and teach. And I was invited to the top 10 and more Baby Lock sewing machine dealers across the country. And one thing I learned about Baby Lock was that they are really big on education, and they were doing tons and tons of events because when a customer bought a sewing machine, they just didn't leave them in the dark. They wanted to make sure their customers had continuing education and that they were able to use their machines to the fullest ability. And what I loved about Baby Lock is that Because other sewing machine companies, they'll sell you a sewing machine and that's it. And you'll say, well, let's do, do you have any events? Do you have any classes? No, we don't. And then I was on the road traveling for a while, and my publisher said, hey, I want you to write another book. I said, okay. And she goes, I want you to write a book on handbags. Well, at that time, all the handbags home sewers were making were those cotton quilted bags that look like Vera Bradley bags. I told my publisher, I said, I'm not writing a book like Vera Bradley bags. I'm sorry. She goes, I didn't expect you to. She said, I expect you to write a book on how to get a higher end look of a handbag on the home sewing machine. What can you do? That's my challenge for you. I said, challenge accepted. Sign me up. So I signed my second contract. And the story will continue in the future for part 3. And that's what it's like being a craftsman. That's a journey. Gotta have the passion.